Good morning and welcome to Ag Talking Raw, where we talk raw about agriculture and other things that are on my mind. Some things that piss me off, some things that make me happy. But one thing that always makes me happy is drinking a cup of coffee. Anyway, I only drink one a day. That's all I need. It's more out of habit than it is out of necessity. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for their birthday wishes. Thank you. I'm not much for my birthday. Well, actually, I really don't care that it comes and goes. It's just that I really hate when people make a big fuss over it. Like, oh, you need a dinner, you need cake, you need this and that. You know, just never wasn't much of a thing. But Teresa got me a really awesome gift. See, my old Swiss Army knife was getting pretty beat up. But it's really hard, if not impossible, to find the work champ that I always used. So she ended up getting me the Swiss champ, which was nice. This is the black edition. Yep, the black edition. I've never owned a black one like this. I've always had the traditional red ones, but I love my Swiss Army knives. Everybody on here and elsewhere are like, why don't you get the, the Victorinox like Leatherman style thing? I was like, nah, I like this better. It's smaller, it's easier to handle. I don't know. It's less expensive for one thing. And I do know why Victorinox is not, it's really hard to find that work champ like I have. Is because people don't carry knives anymore. As the country becomes more and more, terrified by its government and carrying a knife, which is not illegal as long as it's on the outside. And you can carry a knife this friggin' long in most areas. I imagine in the cities you're not allowed to, but here in New Jersey you can carry whatever you want as long as it's not concealed and you don't pull it out and, wave it around like a fucking idiot. But anyways, that's just me talking here. So, that was my happy birthday gift. My dad got me something from Michigan. He was up in Michigan, and I'd love to show it to you, but I just don't have it on hand. I will get it out of the truck probably today or tomorrow, and bring it in, and then I'll hold it up on Wednesday what it is. It is pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Okay, so I could go through all these questions and stuff, but there's a lot of them. There's just a lot of, how many questions are here? A couple hundred, 238. And yeah. Oh, the Farm All Fanatic, disturbing dog food story. Well, that's true. I mean, that's just the way the world works. These people, they get on the system. Maybe they need the system at the time that they get on it, and then they just abuse it for the rest of their lives. Because let's face it, it's easier to just wait for someone to bring you your check or give you money and maybe produce food for you, and than it is to actually go do it yourself. There's no lazy farmer. Any lazy farmer that was ever out there has gone bankrupt years ago. There's gentleman farmers that have jobs off farm and come home and work the land after they're done with their day jobs. And there's actually some really, my grandfather, he had an off-farm job. He worked swing shift at the paper mill, and but he would farm. He farmed just like anybody else. So when he wasn't working, he was farming, and he did that for 21 years until he was 58 years old, and he died. So he died because he smoked a lot of cigarettes, and he didn't drink, but he smoked a lot of cigarettes. I do believe he drank a lot of coffee, burned the candle at both ends, and when you're burning the candle at both ends, your life is about half of what it should be. I've seen photographs of my grandfather when he was about 8 or 9 years old, and they always said that he started smoking when he was 8 or 9 years old. So I could hardly imagine that smoking cigarettes at 8 or 9 years old. But when there was nothing wrong with it at the time, I'm sure there was nothing wrong with it. So, but there was. They just found out a lot later. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just talking about the most of these questions are referring to the weird stuff that happened in the last couple of days on the 5th of July. And, of course, I made a couple videos after that because it's just, things get on my mind and they kind of piss me off. So, all right. Cynical Me says the expensive processed unhealthy foods can be bought with EBT cards because of lobbying by the big taxpayers in the food industry so they can get their hands on the taxpayer supplied government money. That is true. I mean, you can go to the corner store over here and buy Twinkies and pork roll and whatever else you want that's just cheap shit processed food, because it's cheap shit processed food, with your EBT card. I don't even know what EBT stands for, but it's basically the welfare card. Yep. They were talking about the my Baler on here. That's only $1.50 for total maintenance. It's true. You do actually have to. You do have to figure it out that way, but per bale, what's it cost per bale? The more bales you put through it, the higher the maintenance costs. I used to do all of my own maintenance work on a New Holland balers when I had them, and you think you know what you're doing until you find somebody that does it for a living. When you find when you call somebody that fixes big balers for a living, 2 hours with them around your baler, and you're like, wow, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that wears out. Oh, that's the adjustment. You find out a lot about a baler in a couple of hours' time, just trailing behind the guy that knows what he's actually doing. You can read the service manual. Excuse me. You can read not the service manual, but the operator's manual, and that will that'll give you some information, but nothing like what the sales or the service guy can actually tell you. And I've never been one to use service guys because A, they give you bills for $20-some thousand. But a bill for $20-some odd thousand means that you're in the field running. So, is it terrible? Is $20-some thousand terrible price to pay to actually hook up to your baler and go? Not at all. The one thing that did bug me this year was I paid, I got a bill for $20-some odd thousand, and I went to the field and it broke. I tightened up all the nuts that seemed to be loose, and I no longer have an issue. So, kudos to me, and of course those guys. They really do know what they're doing. They just probably overlooked it, or was, a lot of things happen in those shops if you've ever been one. So, yeah. I remember all the troubles you had with the New Holland balers. I also know that you really pull over your machines, put all of your machines to the test. The Chrome baler has allowed you to get the job done far better than the New Hollands. This is Street Rodder. The very best to you, Teresa, and the hard-working boys. Well, thank you. And yes, those New Holland balers, if you put 6,000 or 7,000 bales through them a year, the troubles that I had with those balers was just off the charts. Just off the charts. Every time I turned around, it was something. With the pickups usually. Knotters on the older ones, pickups on the newer ones. I think when they went to the newer pickup design, it was better design, but they hadn't figured out how to make it correct yet. There was a lot of flimsy bits and pieces, and I'm hoping New Holland has figured it out by now. Yeah. LOL. Purina dog food commercial played directly after the Alpo Calcan reference. I don't know. Can you still get Calcan? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you can or not. Alright, so there was a comment on my other channel, One Lonely Farmer, about these tariffs. God, why am I so itchy today? So, they were talking about the tariffs on steel and stuff, causing the price of corn and soybeans to plummet and stay there. And why do farmers think that Donald Trump is, the greatest thing since sliced bread after doing this to them? Well, I'm sure there's some farmers out there that are cursing and swearing at him, but for the most part, when you see good things happening in the country, and I know there's a lot of people that are probably going to be like flipping out over this, but there's good things happening in the country. If you put aside the media's fluff, I guess you would call it fluff, wouldn't you, Teresa? Just fluff, shit that doesn't matter. That's fluff. Shit that doesn't matter. Stormy Daniels. Did he fuck Stormy Daniels? I have no idea. I wouldn't give a rat's ass if he did. It was over 10 years ago. Who cares? You know, that's between him and his wife. Why are we still hearing on CNN, oh, Stormy Daniels, you know? Give me a break. Anything that Donald Trump did prior to saying, I'm running for president, is fluff. Who gives a shit? Okay, so now we've got a 2-year investigation on Russia. He just won some lawsuit that was filed against him. You've got Maxine the Wacko Waters in California wanting to secede from the Union, which, okay, I don't think that we'll miss California because more federal money goes into California than they generate, even though they're like, you know, full of billionaires. So, yeah, I wouldn't miss California, and Maxine Waters can be the president, and we can watch it do whatever the hell it's going to do. They'll be calling back. Trust me on that one. Yeah, so, anyways, with the tariffs and stuff, somebody said, hey, well, why don't they put a tariff on grain? You know, because, you know, there's a very large portion of our grain that goes out of the country. And there is. It's huge, huge amounts of grain go out of the country. In two or three or four different forms. You've got brewer's grains, soybean meal. You have ethanol. Believe it or not, we export ethanol. We export ethanol because the government didn't want to go to the 50% ethanol blend that they were going to they were planning on through the Bush administration. So they're still creating the ethanol. They're still making it. They're just shipping it out to, say, Brazil, Argentina, and those guys down there that are using it. I like ethanol. I don't understand why people don't like ethanol. It's cheaper. Do you go as far? No. But my truck seems to run really good on it. I mean, it really does. I lost about a mile per gallon, but it was like 90 cents a gallon cheaper. So when you're running 15 miles to the gallon, I was pulling that trailer. I was at 14.2 miles to the gallon, pulling that trailer, and I lost a mile to the gallon. So I was getting about 13.2. Say I lost a mile to the gallon. Big deal, you know, big deal. That's nothing. That's pennies compared to the dollar that it's, you know, that it is cheaper. So anyway, so if they put a tariff on soybeans and corn, I don't know what would happen. Would they buy it? They would almost have to, because the United States is the grain producer of the world. I mean, we produce more grain, I believe. Now, I'm like 99.99% sure that the United States produces more grain than anywhere else in the world. Not combined. I'm just like, for each country. Australia produces a shit ton of wheat and rice. I know that for a fact, but the United States, we're doing it. You know, we're rocking it. So if we put a tariff on it, they can't just stop buying our grain. It will definitely cause other countries to, you know, to wake up, and it would probably be really, really bad. I'd like to see a fairer price for our grain. I would like to see grain taken off of the table as far as, as far as retaliation. For tariffs. If you're going to sell us something, or you're going to buy stuff from us, and we got to pay, you know, there's a tariff that our companies have to pay or that we have to pay to ship our stuff to your country, and you're able to ship your stuff here for free or a lesser rate. Ain't nothing fair about that. So, you know, and that's really all that Donald Trump is doing, or the Republicans, Donald Trump and team, his administration, because, I mean, let's face it, one man can't do all that stuff. Here's one that I'm going to debunk. People say Donald Trump is writing laws. He's not a king. He's not a dictator. He's the president. The president of the United States can't write laws. Now, he can sign executive orders, and his people have to follow them, I guess, but that doesn't make it law. Only Congress can make it law, if I'm correct. I don't know. I'm not the smartest tool in the drawer sometimes, but yeah. So the president isn't signing things into law. He is trying to lead us into a fairer future instead of this bleak, dismal shithole that we were headed down. Now, I guess if you were in Wall Street, well, I can't even say in Wall Street. You know, during the Obama years, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the economy's coming back. It's doing great. It's doing great." And of course, now Donald Trump's in office. Oh, the reason that the economy's doing so good is because of what Barack Obama did. Barack Obama. Barack Obama played golf like over a year's worth of golf in days in his 8 years. So out of those 8 years, which is great, I'd rather have him on the golf course than in the Oval Office, to be honest with you. He vacationed for almost as many days, so there's 2 years of his 8 years. So now we're down to 6 years of actually working. Yeah, what did he actually do? Donald Trump actually works 7 days a week, unless, he does go play golf here and there, but the guy is working, man. I mean, he really is. So cut him some freaking slack. He is your president, whether you like it or not. Corn and soybean prices, they're going to come back up. When this gets all resolved, there is no more grain in the world than there was last year or the year before that. Maybe there is a little bit more, but we're not talking billions of bushels. We're talking hundreds of thousands of bushels, possibly more or less, depending on the weather wherever you're at. So if we only had like a 6-day carryover from last year to this year, and you take the United States out of the equation, how many day carryover are you going to have? We don't produce 6 days worth of grain, and there's more and more mouths to feed every day of the year. I mean, babies are born, people die, but we're living longer, and the population is continuing to grow. So yeah, food demand for farmers to produce more food is higher than ever. The shame of it is we're producing too much food. If you really want to get the price up, leave 10 acres fallow. Every farmer that watches this channel, if you left 10 acres fallow or put it into hay production and fed it to beef or something like that, guess what? The price of corn and soybeans will go up. It will. It just will. When I was out in, Wisconsin and Iowa, they pushed out fence rows, pushed over farmsteads and turned it back into fields, and when they're cutting down trees and woodlots and bushes and brush and putting up irrigation, stop it. If you stop it, you'll get more money for what you're producing. I'm all for precision planting and all these things, but the only one that really truly has the power to control the price is the farmers. It is. It's us. I had somebody say on my other channel about the hay. I was tarping this hay, and they're like, well, you're gonna produce yourself out of a price. Bada bing! I know that, but guess what? I have a niche market. It's not like the corn and soybean guys all across the world. Those guys, you got the same market. It's not like you're gonna be selling your corn to aliens that come down in spaceships and pay you more. You guys have the same market. I have the same market as Joe Schmo down the road. And if Joe Schmo down the road doesn't get his 2,4-D Banville and Clarity and goddamn, dicamba and Banville are the same. But I guess Clarity is also. But if they don't get that on the fields and there's too many weeds, guess what? They're out. They're out, and they don't recover. They get so pissed off, guess where they go? Back to corn and soybeans. So take care of your fields if you're a hay guy, mushroom grower, and you'll actually be able to produce a good crop and make a living at it. I mean, you can make a good living at this if you're dedicated to it and you do the right job. And you see me putting tarps on because I lost money last year over that. Oh, the foolishness of myself, and that's just the way it is. But I can say that because I'm the guy that did it. I'm the boss, I'm the guy that owns it. So wow, that was the dumbest thing I could have ever done. I could have bought, 30 more tarps and put it over top of it and saved all that money. You never know. But anyway, yeah. So quit worrying about the tariffs. Quit worrying about the price of grain. It'll come back up because they're not making grain anywhere else. It's not like Brazil's pushing too many more jungles out. I think they get that pretty well cleared off. They stopped a lot of that. I don't think they're still clearing. They might be. Who the hell knows? But that was in like the 70s and 80s and 90s that they were really going hard at clearing jungles. And, what did that do? The 90s had good corn when the jungle, when Brazil was dry as a bone. They had good corn price. Beans were okay. And then we got into the early 2000s, 2003, 2004, I sold corn for $1.73 a bushel. And I had to deliver it. $1.73 a bushel doesn't pay for the fertilizer, doesn't pay for the seed, doesn't pay for the equipment, doesn't pay for anything, So, anyway, Yeah, somebody just sent me a message of some sort. I'm not even going to pay attention to it. So just sit back, relax. It'll rally. It'll be fine. Right, Teresa? She just shook her head. You don't care, do you? Yeah, because we're not in the corn and soybean business. Well, I care. I used to be in the corn and soybean business. And I'd like to get back into the corn business. Happy birthday, food stamps is a fucking joke. Well, they're not, actually. Food stamps and these cards. I've said this before. If you're going to go on to assistance or welfare, you have to have a plan. Not this, let's slop this hog for the rest of its life, and then they're going to spit out a bunch of kids, and we'll slop those hogs for the rest of their lives, and they'll spit out a bunch of kids. Before you know it, you have a naked woman running by. Anyways, before you know it, you've got... She's laughing. Before you know it, you've got generations of welfare recipients because they don't know any better. Mom and dad don't work, so why should we? I mean, it's learned behavior. It is really, truly learned behavior. Now, you will have some family members that just say, hey, you know what? I watched my mom and dad work their fingers to the bone. I'm not going to do it. And they find out that life slaps them upside the head and they end up on drugs and assistance and everything else. So... first thing at the top of the list for assistance is drug testing. If you are found with any type of drug in your system, I don't care what the hell it is. If it's an illegal substance, or massive amounts of illegal substance that is given to you by a prescription that you don't have, you're off. Sorry. There should be an opportunity for re-education. I'm not saying that everybody is eligible for this, but you know what? Re-education. If you get re-educated. It's not that difficult. I mean, if you're a heavy equipment operator, and your back is bad from getting beat up, that was a job hazard. You go into disability. Okay, disability doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. You can go do something, and I do know several people that have been on disability, and they have just absolutely 100% no desire to get off of it because it was hard to get on it. So once they get on disability, they're like, okay, this is my budget, this is what I can do. And that's it. They wait till Social Security, they get Social Security, disability, and possibly food stamps, which is, whatever. So for some people, that's okay. But there are scores and scores of people that are on disability that don't deserve to be on disability. I mean, you get put on disability and you I don't know, there's other jobs. If you break your leg and you can't walk anymore, you can sit here and do this. You can work on a computer. You can get an office job. You can do something. Paperwork for the company that you used to run the machines with. There's just other things that you can do. You just need to be re-educated. So I say there's like a 9-month time. You've got 9 months to figure out what you want to do in this life, and if you don't do it, get started on that re-education program. I'm all for government-funded re-education programs if you're on disability or welfare. That's okay, because if you take a person that is capable of doing something and you re-educate them, you pay for the re-education. Yeah, I'm just saying, government funded. Go ahead, fund it. I'm okay with that, because once it's done being funded, they're done with their education. They get that 90-day course, they get that 9-month course, they get that 2-year degree, they get that 4-year degree, they get that 6-year master's degree. I don't really care. It's not a lifetime of disability. It's not a lifetime of welfare. It's not a lifetime of government funding that will continue through the generations. And I'm no politician, and I don't know where in the hell they get their information from, but I see this. I mean, I see families that are generational welfare recipients. Maybe one of those 5 children that they have will break out and do something, but no, it doesn't generally happen that way. I know one family has been on assistance since like the day it was conceived in, I think, 1962. 1962, the welfare program was enacted, and somebody sent me a thing here, but that's okay. I'll look at that later. In 1962, and his grandparents were on it. His parents were on it. Yeah, His parents were on it. He's on it in 1962. His grandparents, his parents, he's on it, and now his children. And his sister's children and his other sister's children, they're all on this assistance. So if you took that one person and you re-educated them so that they would like work, those kids that they had when they went on to it would see, hey, mom and dad went into the government re-education program. They're now, they're now doing God knows what. And, they're now computer programmers, or they're now, they're bank tellers. They're doing stuff. They're working. They're doing what they need to do. So then the kids will see that there is a pathway to success through education, and boom, there you go. Instead of having, let's see, how many kids are in those families? There's 4. There were 1, 2, 3. One woman had 4, the other one had 2, and that one had 2. So you've got the 3 adults that are alive right now. You've got 4, 5, 6, 8 kids, and the 3 adults, 8, 9, 10, 11. You got 11 people that are on assistance, but if their parents had if there was a re-education available to them, maybe there wouldn't be anybody on assistance. So assistance breeds assistance. They're all on assistance, every goddamn one of them. And it's like, what the hell? Don't you want to work? And, I knew one guy, he worked for me for a couple of years. And, okay. I don't want to check, because if they find out that I'm making money, that I've got a job, they're going to take my welfare away. So you'll have to pay me under the table. It's like, I'm not paying you under the table. I don't know how you're going to cash this check, but you can do whatever you want. And he would go up to this local store, sign his name, and turn it over. He'd get the cash for it, and that guy would sign the checks. So eventually it would have caught up to him, but it never did. Anyway, that's just my rants on welfare again, and where food is going to go. I don't know how much. Well, actually, welfare does have to do with agriculture, because it is on the U.S. Farm Bill. It is in the U.S. Farm Bill. I know that there are several senators from around the country that are trying to get it separated. Rand Paul is one of them. Get that off of there, make it its own bill, the health and welfare bill, instead of the U.S. Farm Bill, because that's not. No farmer wants to see people on assistance. I don't believe there is a farmer out there that wants to see people on assistance, especially as cheap as food is. It's ridiculous. You go to the grocery store, and what it costs to raise a beef cow and what you can buy the beef for in the grocery store, you can't even compete. It's crazy. Teresa wants beef cows, and I'm like, okay, I want to buy 4. I'm going to buy 4. She wants pigs and, hogs and chickens too. And I'm like, you do realize that it's almost cheaper to buy it in the grocery store than it is to take the land and raise it. They've got these feedlots out in the Midwest, and God bless them. The feedlots in the Midwest, Montford feedlots, huge. If you ever drove past them, you'd see the flies before you saw the animals. And they do create a lot of flies out there. But they've got it to a science where they're producing beef at a phenomenal rate, and the price is cheap enough that it's almost impossible to make a living on it. I had a girl call me the other day saying she has beef cows, friend of mine, and she's wanted to sell me a quarter of a cow. Well, the price that she was asking, it wasn't too god awful bad, but honestly, it's cheaper in the store. And what are you gonna do? Buy from the store, save yourself 30 cents, or buy it locally, and pays 30 cents more. I would have, but you know what? I still have beef left over from the animals that I had, so it's time for me to get new ones, more, so I can fill those freezers back up again. I know there's people out there, you can't keep beef in a freezer for more than a year. Fuck that, man. I've had it in there for years and years and years. It's fine. It tastes the same to me, as long as the freezer doesn't thaw out or something. But anyways, I guess I've yammered on long enough for 30 minutes about all kinds of stuff. And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Maybe some of my thoughts so the thoughts on the welfare system and how I don't say abolish it, but to make it better. That people aren't stuck on it for the rest of their lives. And I say stuck on it because they're not doing themselves any service. This Section 8 housing, that's bullshit. COA in New Jersey, another load of bullshit. No one ever says you should get a free house. I mean, the government here in New Jersey pays for housing for people. And trust me, I know all about it. It's called HUD. And, they'll give it to you. Sure, no problem. There we go. Anyways, I've been on for 30 minutes, so thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe for more. If you don't like it, well, I'm sorry. Don't watch it. If you can't watch it, listen to it. If you can't listen to it, okay, I can't help you. If you're going to sit and bitch, don't do that either. Go away. Anyways, bye.